This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Welcome to this episode of Forge Daily. I am your host, Mackenzie Barwell, checking in August 19th, 2024. Yesterday, Forge FC matching up against a 5th place Vancouver FC and coming away with a 2-1 win thanks to Matteo Schiavoni's first professional goal and game winner. So a lot to unpack there, plus another quick turnaround as Forge FC look ahead to their 9:05 derby against York United this Friday. Today, though, we'll focus on this match in review. As Coach Bobby said, these 3 points were vital, especially at this point in the season. So let's start the episode by hearing from him and Dav Choiniere and their initial thoughts after that match.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think the first 30 minutes were very good. We scored the goal. We've created a lot of very good chances through our processes. And then, a lot of little mistakes. A lot of individual errors, a lot of playing in certain zones where, we talked about not playing into because of, Vancouver's pressing tendencies. And it worked out for Vancouver. They created chances from that. Okay, in the second half, you started seeing a little bit of the fatigue. I think it's fatigue of, the past couple of weeks, fatigue a little bit of our travel. It was quite interesting, but yeah, that's every team in this league will have one or two of those days in a season. You have to be able to deal with it. But yeah, fantastic for the guys to come back. Sometimes you just need to think of the 3 points in these games, especially where we are in the season, and that's the most important thing we get here as we go into a very busy stretch with short turnarounds in the next 2 weeks with 3 games back to back.
I think before the game, it was important for us to get the 3 points to keep us at the top in the standing. And then it's just focus on our game plan, executing the area of the pitch where we want to attack, how we want to defend, or risk defense. Just following a game plan. And I think we've done pretty well first half. Second half, I think we got a bit tired. People don't know, but our flight got delayed by 6 hours yesterday, so we got in Vancouver super late. So I think legs were getting heavy, but we managed to make good subs and we changed the game.
Another tough travel experience for Forge. If you've listened to recent episodes of Behind the Beard, you'd know that probably isn't the worst one that they've had, but definitely not ideal. Credit to those difference-making substitutions, though, as Dav pointed out, but also to him for being clinical and scoring 6 minutes into this game. Here to unpack this matchup, as well as Forge FC's current form, is the CPL's Adam Jenkins. Okay, Adam, thank you again for joining me. I think this is our third. Is this our third collab on the audio network now?
This is number 3, and this is the most notice you've ever given me as an invitation to come on the show. So we had time to prepare. It was more than 2 hours. Hey.
That is not true. That is so not true.
It's true.
Honestly, I felt yesterday texting you there's no way he's going to be free today. I guess having not thought about the little notice I've given you in past.
I'm happy to be here.
Listen, I feel like every time we have these calls, I'm always interrupting your morning routine to some capacity. You're always sipping on a coffee.
I sip on a coffee. I'm a 3 coffee a day kind of guy. So there's a chance that anytime you call me, I'm probably sipping on a coffee.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to have you because obviously I want to talk about yesterday's match versus Vancouver, and I thought who better to talk to than the one sitting in the studio watching the game as it happens and commentating on it. So let's just start with your initial thoughts because until Matteo Schiavoni makes the game-winning goal, it looked like it could go either way.
Yeah, I think Vancouver did their classic Forge approach where they play them and frustrate them, and Bobby even admitted that some of the games that they played against them in the past, they've found some issues with midfield in particular. So they changed up the way they wanted to play a little bit, went more direct, went over the top. That obviously led to Matteo's match winner. But I think the momentum was very much in Vancouver's favor in that second half, and Forge would have been probably happy just to take the point and head home. But Vancouver, they can't seem to stay out of their way at times. It's pretty remarkable to see that they've conceded 32 goals this season, and I feel like at least half of them are just almost, I don't want to call them unforgivable mistakes because that's a little bit dramatic. And the players that are making them are probably what's making Ashvin so frustrated. Rocco Romeo is a very sure-footed center back, so his quick pass, decision to even take that pass when there was 19 other options for him was mind-frying. And then from there, they're on the back foot against a club trying to get back into the league lead. So I think Vancouver did well to settle down and get back to their ways. And I thought the second half in particular, they were really bringing it to Forge. And again, they start the match with a mistake that leads to a goal. And then the defending on Matteo's goal was shambolic. Now, take nothing away from the kid. He was on the field for like 4 minutes.
Right.
And the touch to bring it down and finish for your first ever pro goal, incredible. So in some ways you can say fully deserved. In other ways you can say maybe they were the recipient of 2 gifts, but they still had to score the goals, and they did, and now they're the league leaders again.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to talk about that different midfield approach that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
We saw Noah and Daniel in the 6 and 8. So on one hand, how impressed are you with Daniel Parra, not only as an outstanding fullback this season, but now having or showing his ability to play in the center mid? And number 2, how confident are you in the stability that Noah Jensen provides stepping in for Kyle Becker?
Yeah, that was definitely the one that I think surprised the most of us in the studio. I got a text from one of the Forge staffers that said, enjoy this starting 11, or good luck trying to figure out who's playing where, which is the best thing you can hear from someone 15 minutes before the rosters are announced. So, Parra left back, Cisse right back, Alex playing at the 6th. Obviously, they moved a little bit throughout the game and showed the versatility that they have. And then Kyle just getting to stay at home, probably watching the game with a glass of wine or a beer and enjoying it. I think he hadn't missed a game since he was suspended to start game after the CPL final. So it was like, oh, this is what Forge looks like without Becker. And the midfield was interesting because I think I really rate Noah Jensen. I think he's a starter on just about any other team in the Canadian Premier League. He just has Becker in front of him. He didn't play his best game last night, I don't think. And I don't think that's unfair criticism, but at the same time, when you're not starting that many games, it's tough to find that rhythm. But the group in general, they were sort of, they went in waves in that game. It was very much like, oh, this is Forge adapting. They look good. Oh, they're absorbing a lot of pressure from Vancouver. But with all that said, I don't know that with the way that the midfield was set up, Vancouver had a lot of clear-cut chances until Ba, and that was a really nice play from Kintav. You could argue that Alex Hesheniote-Janssen was fouled, but how many times have we also seen Alex make that exact little jab and get away with it too? It's shoulder-to-shoulder play, but as much as Vancouver had momentum, I don't think Forge will have felt as though they were in danger of conceding very often in that game. And as a result, it's a road game, and they've been bad on the road this season. So to get what I think was just their 3rd win of the season away from home was a big deal for them.
Yeah. What about the matchup between Parris G and Daniel Parra? What did you see from them? Because I was kind of watching the game as I was driving up to my cottage, admittedly listening to it, and I could hear the commentary talking about that matchup and how it was getting a little bit gritty. What do you think it was about the two of them that kind of brought out the best in each other?
Yeah, Parris is the most unassuming player in the CPL, I think. He just looks like this incredibly nice guy. He does all the funny videos for Vancouver social. And you're like, oh, this is just a kind-hearted soul. And then as soon as the whistle blows to start the game, you're like, oh, no, he'll take my head clean off my shoulders if you give him the chance to. And he's a battler. And so is Daniel. And we actually did a feature on Daniel Parra in the games before Sunday. So Friday and Saturday, we were there throughout the week, and we chatted with Kyle, who, of course, he was the pre-match feature and did not travel. So that was excellent timing. Thank you for that, Bobby. But yeah, that's what Daniel Parra brings you. And I think Forge have become endeared to him for a reason. He brings a little bit of that Mexican flair that is evident with a lot of York United players, especially this season. And Parris is just a baller. I think he'll be disappointed in the coverage on the match winner as like one of the few mistakes we've seen from Parris. But I mean, the guy doesn't come off the field for them. And when he was with York, he's playing in every position on the field. So his importance to the team is paramount. Makes them tick, especially when that backline's been unstable at times. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching 2 aggressive, talented, very fast players go head to head. It was one of the best matchups to watch last night.
Yeah. And no, that's so funny that you bring that up about the personality of Parris G, because Daniel's the same way. He's pretty goofy at practice, lighthearted. And then the amount of like aggression that I saw between the two of them, it was a little bit shocking in a way.
It can be jarring. Like you see, oh, Parris, look at this hilarious orca impression he's doing for the Beach Day promo. And then I wonder, is he making that sound? Is he growling when he plays football?
No, could have been.
Could
I
have
want to talk about that first goal, though, Adam. As you said, an unfortunate turnover from the back line in Vancouver. And then Jordan able to lay it off to Dav, who finishes in his favorite way, I think we've learned, top right bin. I just want to get your overall thoughts to start on Dav Choiniere, because over the course of this season, in comparison to last, obviously he's not injured this time around, but he's been such a consistent force for Forge, not only in 2024, but over the course of his entire 6 years here. What do you make of his role on this team, and do you think he gets the recognition that he deserves?
He probably doesn't get the recognition he deserves, but that's Forge's MO, is they're all so good that you kind of like, oh, there are a lot of excellent players on an excellent team, and sometimes over the years of sustained excellence, you kind of you look for different stories, and it's easy for the neutral media or the league media to say, well, let's talk about somebody different instead of Dav Choiniere for the 110th time today. He fits into the Forge mold. He's an excellent player. He delivers in big games, especially the king of CONCACAF, as I like to call him, in those CONCACAF League and CONCACAF Cup games. And let's not forget, too, that his brother is linked right now to a move to Europe. So you know for a fact he's motivated by it right now. So
that's exactly why I brought it up, Adam, because there has been a lot of talk around his brother. And, of course, every time they play CF Montreal, that's the conversation. But I just don't want Dav to fall into the shadow, because I'm like, he's doing such good things over here.
Yeah, he's been excellent, and he was one of the players, especially after the Ottawa final when he was so good. I was like, he's going to get a move, and I think we've said that about a lot of Forge players, and I think we're learning with the Kwesi Poku transfer rumors right now that Jelani Smith and Bobby Smirniotis and the league, because they have a role to do in transfers as well, they're not wanting to push guys either into a lateral step or a move that they're not ready to make. And you give him more time under Bob, and he's going to keep developing and keep getting more excellent.
Yeah, no, you make a very good point. Well, looking at that first goal, how important do you think it was that they took the lead that early? Because as you said, in the second half, Vancouver had most of the momentum. Bobby talked about in the press conference afterwards that he felt there were a lot of individual errors, and they were playing more in spaces that they didn't actually plan on being in. So how much do you think that lead in the first 5 minutes contributed to their win?
It definitely gave them the buffer, but at the same time, any visiting team that can go up and score early, like that's going to change the game plan and make it a lot more difficult for the home team. I mean, like, look at Pacific conceding in the second minute of their game and just being done. Valor coming from behind to win for the first time in 2024 kind of shows you how hard it is, especially for the home team to take that early adversity and that pressure on themselves, especially when you look at Vancouver, where they are right now in their season, and they're not battling for a championship. They're battling to get into the top 5. So Vancouver, I think, especially with the run of form they'd been on, they got that big win to Pacific, and they probably come into that game with a little bit more swagger. They're peacocking in training. They've got the vibes back in camp, and then to concede so early on an unfortunate self-inflicted wound is tough, but it definitely takes some of the pressure off of Forge. Having said that, too, that can be difficult when the home team, or the team that needs to win more in the game, gets that shock so early, because they're like, okay, well, now we need one goal in the next 87 minutes or 85 minutes. And then Forge is kind of like, well, we're going to be doing a lot of defending for that time. And they're comfortable doing that, of course, but it can be a double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, looking at the shots, I think, taken from either side, Vancouver ended up having slightly more, although Forge maintaining most of the possession. If you're Forge, are you concerned with the need to be in the opponent's 18-yard box more so, or are you satisfied with having the possession and just capitalizing on the maybe opportunities that are more so few and far between with the style of play that, they have?
Yeah, I would be more concerned if they hadn't sort of shown at different times this year that they're becoming more of an adaptable team. Before it was, we're Forge and we're going to beat you playing Forge football, and now it's, we're Forge, we got a busy August, and we're going to find a way to beat you, even if we have to tinker, which Bobby did big time in this game, especially with the players he had at his disposal. So I wouldn't say that I'm concerned ultimately. Like, they'll never tell the media. They'll never externalize their desire, but I think they absolutely think they can win the treble, and everyone understands how difficult that is. But so in that quest, get your points, and I think they're starting to already think about TFC in 8 days. So if they need to get an ugly one in Vancouver, and then focus on York, a team they've had great success with, though they're under the new regime, and then all of a sudden you're in one of the biggest games in franchise history all over again.
Yeah.
You'll take them ugly if they're going to present to you ugly.
You got to tinker.
You got to tinker. I still think head coaches should just be called head tinkerers, but it's not as... It gets stuck on the tongue a little bit. We're rebranding Beyond the Beard to Tinker Time.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay, Adam, behind the beard, first of all?
Beyond... I like the alliteration better.
I thought you were... Sorry, I actually thought you watched the show. Maybe
I actually called out behind the beard to Bobby when he did his arrival interview with me yesterday.
What?
So
No
you're
way.
welcome. I did.
Okay, so I guess I'm the fake fan then.
That's exactly right. You're too busy driving home or to your cottage that you're not watching OneSoccer game coverage.
Listen,
Great work.
One more for you, Adam, and that is, of course, Matteo Schiavoni scoring his first professional goal. Not to mention it's in the 89th minute to win the game for his team and keep Forge at the top of the table. From what you've seen and watching similar situations like this, how much momentum do you think that's going to give to Forge going into Friday? And how much of a morale booster do you see, that being? Because I think looking at the reaction both on and off the field, is pretty evident they were happy for the guy.
Yeah, it's like your little brother doing something good,
Yeah.
your little sister doing something impressive. You're like, okay, I knew you could do that, but now everyone knows you can do that, and then it's a great feeling. And my favorite thing, and maybe I'm just getting old and sentimental, is anytime you see those first goals, whether it's with your club or as a professional, it's the player ignoring all of his teammates and going straight to the coach and wrapping them up in a bear hug. I think Sissoko did that earlier this year with Atletico Ottawa, Matteo with Bobby. They're just such nice, heartfelt moments, and a piece of everyone else in the CPL that doesn't support Forge is probably thinking, are they going to do the Poku thing again with this kid? Like, are they going to do it again? Yeah. I don't know that it's going to be that drastic of a jump, but look, for these guys who make the European voyage and have some success, like for Matteo playing with Bologna and that tie with CF Montreal, like those are great experiences, but they always need to do it professionally to believe that they can do it consistently. And I mean, it's tidy work. He'd only played 16 minutes before that appearance, which was going to be another 5 minutes, get a taste, see if he can impact the game, and he did, to be fair. Wasn't quite as dramatic as Seb Costello and his, I think his goal 30 seconds in as a sub, but I think the finish was much better for Matteo, so he has one up there.
Yeah, but you're right. It's hard not to wonder whether he'll follow the same trajectory as Kwesi, right? With his background, and then if he continues to play in this way. So, Adam, thank you so much again. I can promise you to give you just more and more notice now.
I don't believe you for a second, but I do appreciate the thought.
Because you're still here.
That's right. It is my fault. I keep showing up and sipping my coffee.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks so much, Adam, though. Seriously.
My pleasure, Mackenzie.
That will conclude today's episode. A special thanks once again to Adam Jenkins for joining me. You can expect more CPL perspectives. Tomorrow, I'm going to have analyst Mitchell Tierney on, and then Wednesday, we'll be back with another episode of Behind the Beard. So lots more to come. Thank you all so much for listening. And on Friday, although not at home, I do expect to see each one of you cheering on Forge FC at York University.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.